I feel like I might ruffle some feathers with this one, but I also feel like I might change some lives. If you are new here, hi, my name's Amy. I am a website copywriter and brand messaging specialist, and I will absolutely die on the hill that complicated is canceled, which basically just means I am always looking for the simplest and most effective ways to do things in my own copywriting business and to make messaging and copy really simple for my clients and students. I have been meaning to become a YouTube girly for months now, and I keep putting it off because I am like so convinced that I need to go like rent a studio that you can't see my super aesthetic 1970s ranch that I live in with my husband and our kids, or that I need to script everything. And then I realized that all of the content that I'm obsessed with consuming on YouTube is like very casual vlog style content. So welcome to it. Welcome to my messy tiny house with our pool, our swim lessons pool bag right there. And today we are talking about how I am revamping my email marketing strategy for the rest of 2026. I will say I have a very mixed relationship with like telling people or creating content around what I'm doing in real time, because I think building in public definitely is having a moment. But I think sometimes it can be a lot to keep up with, both for yourself as a content creator and for your audience, to like keep up with everything you're doing and changing. So I am out here publicly declaring that I'm changing my email strategy for at least the next few months. I already said the rest of 2026. And when I said that, I was like, oh, what if I change it again? But what I do know as of this moment, I'm recording this in late April 2026. I do know for a fact that I'm about to put my business in summer mode, which is basically when I take fewer client projects. I'm a lot less worried about moving the needle, whatever that means, in my business. And I am like coasting for the summer. I have two retired grandparents in my kids' lives, so they will be helping out a little bit with my kids over the summer. And they're signed up for a few summer camps here and there. But honestly, I have really been craving taking some time to chill with them. And I built my business on like only working after my kids' bedtime. So I'm really not that stressed about getting a couple projects done here and there after bedtimes and hopefully just enjoying the time off. But one of the things I really hated the most about last summer was my weekly newsletter. So if you're new here or whether you've been around for a while, I currently write a weekly newsletter called the Rough Draft Newsletter. And last summer, I made it a whole big thing to talk about summer mode and basically dial back on the complexity of those emails, but I was still having to send them out every single week. And it was good. It was fine, but I kind of hated it. And the reason I was doing it was because someone told me I should, and that's not a good reason to do something. So let's talk about what does and doesn't work in email marketing before we get into what I'm changing. If you're new to email marketing, there are a lot of ways that it can be done. But basically, and I've struggled with how to summarize this concisely because this is a video about email marketing, but it's not about like every single thing in email marketing. We're not talking about like sender reputation and delivery and frequency and things like that in here. I'm literally talking about just how I'm going to use my email list over the summer. So a few things with email marketing that all email marketing specialists seem to agree on. One, you need to be sending out regular emails. And that's both from a deliverability and reputation standpoint. Like if you're only emailing people, I don't know, once a year, once every couple months, then your emails are more likely to go to spam because you haven't developed a good reputation as an email sender. It's also good from a marketing perspective because, and this is my pet peeve, sometimes I sign up for a list and forget I signed up because I don't hear from that person for forever. And their first email was like, here's your freebie. And then they ghost. And then they come back like months later with something to sell me. And then all of a sudden they're in my inbox every single day. And I'm more annoyed than I am convinced because like, I don't know who you are. So consistency is important. It's also important to not always be going in for a hard sell. Okay, so before I get into what I'm doing with my newsletter, what I'm doing with my sales emails over the summer, I want to explain to you why I view those two things differently, and maybe this will help clear things up in your own email marketing. But basically, to me and to the bulk of the online business community, a newsletter is an email that you send out at a regular interval with like consistent-ish content inside of it. So for example, I send out the Rough Draft newsletter. Right now I send it out every single Thursday morning. It's usually a pretty standard for an online business owner format, which means it's like a storytelling format. I'm telling you a story. I'm getting you interested in what I'm saying. And then I'm teaching you something inside of it. And then usually I will add some kind of call to action of like checking out website copy templates, checking out my Done With You copy program, having me write something for you. There's always some kind of call to action. A sales email is like very hyper focused on one thing, and this is where the lines get blurred because storytelling can be a very good sales vehicle. So I'm not saying you can only tell stories in your newsletter or you can only sell in a sales email, but to me, it's like the regularity and the commitment that come with it. And then because a lot of email marketing specialists will agree that not every single email you send can or should or needs to be a like very sales focused email, I do think it's also important to keep a pulse on some kind of like lifestyle nurturing brand building content in your list. Because again, if the only thing that I'm getting from people is hard sells, I'm probably going to tune out. Like that sounds very exhausting to me, but there's a lot of nuance to this conversation. So let's talk about traditional newsletter advice. And I should add here that this is more an experiment for me in my own business. And I do not consider myself to be an email marketing specialist. When I write emails for clients, it's typically in the form of scheduled email sequences. So what I do is go in and write everything from when you download their freebie to when you join their course or whatever it is. I write the stuff that gets scheduled in bulk. I don't do like ongoing newsletter or sales content. So what I'm about to tell you about is not necessarily my own area of expertise, which is why I'm reminding you that it's me experimenting with my own marketing. So the TLDR, here's the plan. Over the summer, I will be changing the Rough Draft newsletter from weekly to monthly and trying to send out some kind of sales email for my website copy templates and my Done With You website copywriting program like once or twice a week. And this feels a lot more comfortable to me for a million reasons. First being my newsletter format has been a little bit draining to me as a writer and a creator to write, because I spend so much of my energy teaching. Like a lot of people use their email newsletter to teach. It's not that you couldn't use it for something that's not that, but that's also just what I've used mine for. I would rather teach in public. I would rather teach you tips here on YouTube or on my blog, and then also teach inside of my programs in a more one-on-one capacity where it like actually applies to your business and I'm in it with you, helping you write your copy. So it's just not a format of teaching that I got very excited about. And frankly, I think it has shown in the newsletters that I'm writing lately. I have been doing a lot of writing out of obligation for my newsletter. And one of the things that I firmly believe like will die on this hill is that enthusiasm is contagious. People can tell when you are not enthusiastic about what you are creating. And I don't want to build a reputation for my brand that's like, website's really good, but newsletter is eh. Like I want my newsletter or anything I do inside of my business to feel memorable. I want everything to feel really well done. And I can do that once a month so much better than I can do it weekly. So with that, my email list is still going to be hearing from me several times a month. That's one of the biggest things is like not just emailing your list once a month, but also not just using your list to sell. So that's kind of how I'm balancing it. Is the Rough Draft will be moving to a monthly format. I have not decided exactly what the format's going to be, but I think it's going to be some kind of like content and lifestyle roundup. And then what I'm focusing on simplifying in my business and life for the next month. So maybe I have decided what it's going to be and I just did it out loud on camera, but that's what the newsletter is going to be. And then I will also be sending like reminders and sales emails that I have options to help you write your website copy intermittently throughout the month. But I think this works best, or literally anything you do with your marketing works best when you make it a moment. So what I mean by that is calling more attention to it, explaining your intention and heart behind it. So that's what I'm doing with this video for one, but I'll also be sending out an email to my list that explains basically like why I'm going from monthly to weekly. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't think anyone's gonna care about this change. I don't think my own newsletter subscribers are going to miss my contact. One, because they'll still be getting pretty regular contact from me. But two, I don't think anyone is glued to their inbox because I haven't made this weekly newsletter that much of my moment. And this really fits into my capacity better because frankly, I've been writing this newsletter every single week and I just don't have the capacity to promote it like I should. So I'm sitting here every single week like, oh shoot, it's a Wednesday night, the night before my newsletter goes out. I should remind people that I have this newsletter. And then, like I said, enthusiasm is contagious and I don't have it. So what people are catching from me instead is maybe a little bit of apathy and maybe a little burnout, and that's not what I want to share with people. So I'm really excited for monthly because I can make it a bigger moment, which is honestly all you need to do. As long as you can give rationale behind why you're doing something and you can make it your moment, the way I'm doing with turning this newsletter monthly, again, I don't know that anyone will care, but as long as you can rationalize it and make it your moment, you can message literally anything. Teach it to students all the time, do it for myself all the time, do it for my clients all the time. You can literally make anything your moment. What I do think people will care about, and I'm curious to see, I'm putting this on the internet, we'll see how this goes. I do think people will care about how well this works because while I don't know that anyone will miss my newsletter being weekly, I'm curious to see if anyone else tries this in their business because I could see a lot of people being like, oh my gosh, like that sounds like such a relief. I would love to try things like that in my business. Okay, and one thing that I almost forgot to mention is that I'm recording this video in April, late April, like almost May, and I'm spending the next few days getting email sequences ready to go. So like I mentioned earlier, email sequences are scheduled emails that go out automatically. So I have at least 2 freebies in my business right now that are super valuable and very, very helpful for what they are. I have like a messaging workshop, and then I have a guide to getting better client reviews and how to turn those into copy. And then I have a third one that I'm brainstorming. I'm not ready to talk about publicly yet, but basically what I am doing is spending the next couple days making sure that the emails that follow those freebies are ready to be helpful for people that download them. So I mentioned earlier, one of my biggest pet peeves is downloading a freebie and then getting ghosted and then getting hard sold to a couple months down the road. So I am making sure that especially for new subscribers, you are still hearing from me on a regular basis. I'm actually not making the emails go out daily. I think that's a little much. In my opinion, I'm focusing on fewer, better emails because I want every single email I send to be like, oh my gosh, like I want to open that email. I want to read. She always has something really good to say. So I'm making sure that the follow-up for all of my freebies is helpful in actually using the freebie and then also lets people know how I can continue to help them, whether that's through a copy template or my program or whatever else. So there's a whole web of how these sequences work. But one thing I'm doing to simplify things for myself, because complicated is canceled, as we have established, is each freebie is getting its own set of delivery sequence emails. So again, this isn't really like, this probably is an official phrase, but I'm using it casually and defining it for myself. Each freebie is getting its own delivery sequence, which means that when you get the freebie, I will deliver it to you in an email. And then there's a set of a few emails helping you get the most out of that freebie. And then after that, they'll go into one central sequence that's like all the ways I can help you, how to know which things are the right fit, et cetera, et cetera. So I have plans. I have big plans. I'm about to go write these big plans and hand them off to my virtual assistant to schedule them in Flowdesk, and I will let you know how they go. So I think this will work for me because I do have offers beyond services. What I mean by that is I have website copy templates, which are a product. You can buy them. They're instantly yours. You can use them to go write your website. But then I also have a done with you copy experience that you join instantly when you sign up. Like it's automatic. You still get one-on-one support from me, but like you can join anytime and you don't have to wait for me to be available to like write your website because you're doing it with my help. I can help you at any time. So I think this works well because I literally can be always selling. I think it's kind of a mental cluster when it comes to selling your services if you have limited capacity, which you do as a person. Like I can only write so many websites and sales pages and email sequences per month before I start going nuts. So it feels really tricky to try to promote those things because I'm like, I don't know what my capacity is going to be. And I promote those things in other ways than email marketing. So all that to say that I think this will work really well for my current offer setup and my business and the way I'm going to be approaching content. I'm going to be spending some time focusing more on public facing content. So like this YouTube channel, my blog, social media, which is crazy to say because I swore off it for a little bit there, but I'll be focusing more on those things and then really making my monthly newsletter my moment instead of weekly. I'm so excited about this. I'm so excited. One more thing I will add is, and this is definitely a me thing. I think it could apply to other people in addition to me. One of the biggest rules in marketing is you should never assume that your buyers or your audience or whoever thinks about things exactly like you, because they don't. So I probably do have people, actually I know that I do have people that read my newsletter and are like excited to get it every single week. And I love that. And I appreciate that and them and you, if that's you, so much. But I personally am a little bit fatigued by my emails. And I'm on some really good email newsletter lists, but I'm just feeling the inbox overwhelm of having all these newsletters and having all these sales emails coming to me. And I really like consuming lately like that more public content, like Reels, TikToks, YouTube, things like that, because I feel like as a content consumer, I'm opting into that more. Like I'm going to actively choose that rather than things like coming into my inbox demanding to be consumed. So I'm hoping that this helps ease up on my own inbox fatigue. I'm also hoping that this renews my enthusiasm for creating content and makes things more memorable. Because again, I think one really well done newsletter style email per month is a lot better than 4 half-assed ones. One of my rules, it's on my about page, it will never leave my about page, is whole ass only. Like if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. So very excited to see where this takes me. Stay tuned for updates. And if you want to grab any of the resources I just mentioned, like website copy templates and my Done With You website copywriting experience, you can find all of that and the new monthly newsletter at my website, hellococreative.com.